Hello, Boss Kids! And today we're going to be talking about business culture in China, Japan, and Korea compared to the United States.
Yeah, so usually what I was taught is if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. And if you're late, you're screwed. So that was usually what I was taught. I would guess the same teaching would apply to that type of setting as well.
Yeah.
My thoughts exactly.
And I think in the US, I do think we're a little bit more lax with times, but it usually to be around like 5 to 10 minutes early to most things. It's kind of expectation that like you're 5 to 10 minutes early. If you're late, you better tell them you're going to be late. Like you got to be communicating that you're going to be late, and maybe communicate ahead of time that you're about to be late. Like not like right as you're being late. Like if you think you're going to be late, you text them immediately and be like, I might be like 50 minutes late, so they're not like surprised.
I communicate with them by dancing.
But most of the time, if it's like punch in, you put your hours down. Depending on the job you work, hourly, salary, salary jobs. They're different. I can't remember. But stuff like that. So you do kind of want to be on time. Don't be late. But if you are going to be, communicate that you're going to be late. And then what about gift giving? Have y'all had to do any type of gift giving stuff at your jobs? Or is that like not really expected to do gift giving?
It was kind of a food pantry, kind of not. It was like you could go in there anonymously and leave whatever types of food items. Sometimes it would just be houseware in there that you wanted, and people could come and take what they needed. I thought that was like a very charitable thing.
And that's cute.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, but it was also a form of gift giving as well. And then we would have specials sometimes if we participated in events where they would give us like free cosmetics, free skincare, lotions, and stuff like that. Yeah, that was a really big perk. I kind of miss it, but
that's a good point where you don't think about. I gotta say, like in the US, you really don't expect to give gift giving, but like sharing food with people is also gift giving. And that's like kind of like a thing like in America, like even like with your friends, if you're eating, you're kind of expected to like, they can have a little bit, share a little bit. Like it's like kind of like you have enough for the class, where it's like you have something, it's like more okay, like sharing your food with other people, right? That's a really good point, like sharing food, sharing clothes, sharing small things like that, even if it's not like big gift giving.
Love it, love it, love it.
Like, in the US, we have, you get bonuses on like certain holidays for your job. So like that's something that's gift giving technically. What about you, Audrey?
So for my jobs, it's more like we do like Secret Santa during like Christmas holiday. So I'm not sure if that's really gift giving. It's more like giving and receiving.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it kind of is, but it's not like really giving without any expectation for return. And we do it like Valentine's Day, Easter. I think one day we even did like Kwanzaa or something. So it's like every like holiday that they're like, do you guys want to do like a Secret Santa-esque thing? Or like everyone bring in food, like we're going to have like this major like food thing and just like grab whatever you want. But there's never been a specific thing where like you get gifts without getting something in return.
Yeah, and so segueing with that, I want to talk about China real quick. So, first, the gift-giving thing. In China, it's expected that when you go on vacation, you do bring a gift for somebody. And I'll get into a second about like some of the gift-giving culture. That's very interesting. But first I'm going to go to something called saving face, which is going to be important for all three countries that we're going to be talking about today. And so a big part, because Chinese business culture isn't like crazy different than the US, but there is a very important difference that you need to know, and that will also help you with Korea and China as well. So China is a Confucian country, or at least Confucian basis. Same with Japan. I'm not sure how much that affects Korea, but definitely affects China. So in the West, we're kind of having the idea of like doing the action. We're very like action-forwarded society, while I'd say Asia is a lot more of a passive society where They want to have a passive social harmony without having to actively something. They don't want to like impose their view on somebody else. So they want to do the same to you. While in the West, it's like you impose the good action on somebody else. You do kindness. You pay it forward. You do these kind of things to other people. While in Asia, it would be like, don't do what you don't want to have happen to you, right? So it's
okay.
Different like vibe there, and that affects a lot with business. And so one thing that affects with business is you don't want to have somebody else feel embarrassed ever or lose face. You want to save face, which is the phrase I use a lot. It's kind of similar to like the term of ego, but it isn't the same with ego. It's a very hard concept to grasp. But China also has a very like clear like social hierarchy, which isn't as talked about in the language as much as you will see in like Japan and Korea. But like, well, it's just in Confucianism, is like ruler over subject, father over son, that kind of like relationship there. And that also applies to business a lot. So same face, right? You want to have group consciousness a lot in a lot of Asian societies. So
I totally relate to that.
In China, it's a lot more okay to lie than it is in the West. In the West, we're like, don't lie, be blunt. That's a big thing. Be blunt is a huge thing in the West. While in China, they're like, don't be blunt, talk around the thing. Don't call someone out. So some do's and don'ts I'll say is, do publicly praise your elders. When you go out and eat somebody, you like take someone out to eat, do a business banquet, give expensive gifts, and be indirect. But don't bring it to other people's mistakes. Do not call out someone for lying something openly. Do not do that. That's a social taboo. Also, don't call out if you don't think something's correct. So if someone like makes like an incorrect comment, do not call that out. That is taboo. You're making them lose face. It looks really bad. Do not do that.
Oh, now I see. Now I get it.
In a work setting, do not ask questions. They don't want to hear it. Don't ask a question. Do not ask questions. Be quiet. The superior will be talking the entire time. You're not meant to talk like you in the West. You're supposed to like have a conversation. Just don't say anything. Zip. Do not reveal someone's lack of knowledge of something. So like what I said earlier, do not call them out if they're incorrect about something. Just stop talking. Don't say anything. You don't gotta say anything. And then don't be direct or blunt. Looks really bad.
Shh. Just listen.
And then you're respected. I'll actually not talk about this as much because it's something that I think will apply more. You'll see a lot in Japan with the work is family kind of thing. So I'll let Audrey and Bliss talk about that more. But I'll talk about something that's very unique to China business-wise and gift giving is like what not to give gifts on. And these are things I'm not sure if y'all know, but I'll do this one real quickly, then we can go into like Audrey and Bliss's stuff. This is very unique to China. So there's taboo gifts that do not give someone. I don't know if this applies in Korea and Japan, but these are very funny to me. So do not give somebody a pear, which is 梨子, because it sounds like 离开, which I disagree, which means to separate or to leave. So don't give people pears. No giving people pears. Do not give somebody shoes.
What?
Because shoes, 鞋, sounds like the word for evil, which is also 鞋. And so giving someone a pair of shoes kind of makes them sound like you want to walk away from them and that someone wants to leave them. So you don't give people shoes. Do not give someone an umbrella because sun sounds like the word for sun, which means to break up. And then a clock, which is songjong, is bad because it sounds like you're saying songjong, which means to bury somebody or paying last respects to somebody when they die. So if you give someone a clock, it's kind of like being like, you're gonna die soon. It's a very ill omen. Do not give somebody white chrysanthemums. It's used for funerals. So it's kind of weird. It's like think about giving like someone that you're not dating a rose. It feels really romantic, you know? So it's kind of like that context. One that applies to all the countries is the number 4. Don't give things in 4s. Don't give them like 4, something like that. Because 死 sounds like 死, which means death. It's kind of like our unlucky number 13 in the US, where we like don't like number 13. That's 4 in Asia. And the inverse is 8 is a lucky number because it's perfect, right? Now the funniest one is don't give somebody a green hat.
Oh Oh my god!
It means that your wife or your girlfriend is cheating on you. If you give someone a green hat, they call it the might be inappropriate, but the you know when you like want someone to like you want to watch your girlfriend do something with somebody, like that's the kind of hat that it's called. Like that's the exact term that they used in my class in school, is that kind of hat. That's the exact word they used in my textbook. So don't give someone a green hat. Those are some taboos. Don't give someone those things, okay? And if you want to give somebody a gift, give them money in a red envelope. It's a hongbao. They like that. Okay, I talked a lot about China because it's the most unique one. What do you have to do about Japan, Audrey?
So there's so many rules about gift giving in Japan. Again, when you travel, you have to bring your company back gifts. Like, it's usually like little treats or like something to snack on, but like you have to do it. If you don't do it, everyone's like, oh my god, they're so rude. Like, they don't like us, they don't stand for the company. And it's a lot of unlucky numbers. I don't remember specific numbers, but I think it might be 4 as well for Japan, to where they'll buy extra and bring them just to show that they didn't buy the unlucky number. And like, it doesn't matter if that one goes to waste or not. Like, they'll just buy more because they're like, I'm not buying the unlucky number. And I think it's gotten to the point where if you have omiyage in Japan, which is like the little souvenir things, they won't sell it in those numbers anymore because they're not selling. So they just completely rid of those numbers, so you can't find them anywhere. Other than that, for like gift giving, I think it's mostly like, I don't think there's anything like super taboo. I know like the flowers are specific. And if you go out to eat with like business members, like there's so many chopstick rules. Like, you cannot do a lot with chopsticks, which I'm sure it's the same for Korea and China. Like, you have like such strict rules. And there's like a lot of like business rules, like you must respect your elders. But with I know you went into talking about to where like you can't really say things, you have to like save face. And to a certain extent that isn't true in Japan. But like my boss, he's like, I'm so used to telling subordinates underneath me like just straight up what's wrong with it. But he would never tell his boss if he did something wrong. When you're on the same level, you can just talk and be like, hey, I think your idea is dumb or something like that. And he's like so blunt with me. He's like, no, you gotta change this. You gotta change this. But, like when he's talking to his boss, it's like so formal.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Japan and Korea have a lot more of an emphasis on like your social role because and the language, right? The language has a lot of like you can talk about that, like the language hierarchy with like how you refer to somebody is very different than in China. China has like some formalities like that, but there's like different languages that you use in China. Like, what's the term for business speak in Japan? There's a word for it, isn't it?
I don't know. We just call it, in my class, we're just like formal Japanese, and we only learn formal Japanese because like she's like, you guys are gonna be foreigners over there, like just talk to everyone formally. That's your best bet. Like, out of everything, formal is the best.
Cool.
Just keep it to formal. Talk to people like they're above you no matter their standing. Like, unless they're like a little kid, but even then, formal Japanese will work. They'll just like giggle at you because they're kids.
Kegel.
Okay. I was like, I had no idea that there was a specific
I just
thing.
Googled it.
Yeah. It's definitely a hierarchy. Like, if you're older or stand higher in the business, then you have to talk formally to them. Like, you have to bow to them. You have to say specific hellos on the phone versus like just casual ones that you could say with your coworkers. So hierarchy is like a big thing. Age is a big thing. Like, you must respect your elders. You see an elder, you gotta respect them completely. Formal speech, no matter what. Unless you're just mean.
For the hello thing, like the different ways you greet somebody. I'm trying to like put it in context. Like, you wouldn't say like "sup, boss." You'd be like "hello, hey." So that's kind of what you're talking about, right? But like the different formalities of like kind of applying it to English.
Yeah, it's very formal, and I guess it's like kind of like the same. Like, you wouldn't say "sup" to your boss at all. It's just like everything seems so much more stricter. Like, you gotta bow. I think there's like a greeting before that you bow every morning, and you just say like "hello," and it's so strict about that stuff. And dress code over there. like you have to wear the heels, you have to wear the business suits. Unless I think work from home is a little bit laxer over there, but it's not as widely accepted as in the US, because work from home culture has become so much bigger in the US. But I know in Japan, like I'm pretty sure it's still pretty like you got to come into the office, you got to be in full out dress, you got to like talk to your bosses, you got to be there to know you're working, you know.
So now let's go into Bliss about Korea. So what are some business culture things about Korea?
So for Korea, business culture, the hierarchy of like, well, first there comes like age, and also, of course, if the person is your boss or just a manager. If the person is older than you, you have to use 존댓말, which is basically just Korean formal speech. And the same goes for bosses and managers. You have to always make sure you bow when you greet them, and not just like a head bow, like a full upper body bow. And then there are also these company dinners after like work that are called 회식s. And it's when like employees are kind of forced to go. If you say no, of course they're not like gonna make you go, but at the same time they're gonna look at you sideways like, why aren't you coming? This is something that you should come to.
This is all wrong.
Like you need to be at this in order to be viewed positively. And even at these 회식s, there's still company manners that you have to keep, be taken into consideration. And then as far as like dress code in Korea, it isn't exactly business casual. Usually the men are in suits, and then the women are in business attire. There isn't that much of a strict dress code for women as there is in Japan. If they want to wear pants or flatter shoes or something like that, or like even glasses, because I know Japan can restrict glasses for women, which is messed up. But in Korea, if they want to wear glasses, they can. Well, need to wear glasses, they can. And then also gift giving culture. Well, actually, wait, before that, there is something else I wanted to touch on. Unfortunately, employee harassment was a common thing in South Korea.
Oh, no.
And actually, Stephanie Sue on YouTube, she has a podcast and a channel called Rotten Mango. She actually covered a case that was like employee harassment was really big in this case. It's episode 266. And it's also the like real life version of this K-drama called Taxi Driver. And basically like he did all types of messed up things to his employees. Not only that, but his company was messed up. But I'm not going to spoil the episode if you want to go watch it.
It ain't no joke, as Rakim said.
But there is an act that was put in place in order to deal with employee harassment. It's the Korean Labor Standards Act of 2019, and it requires employers to prohibit workplace harassment, and it investigates any allegations of harassment as well. So it's good that there's progress as far as that. Now, as far as the gift giving culture, there's a bunch of rules to keep in mind. But one rule of thumb is they love expensive gifts. Like for instance, if you give them fruit is really expensive in Korea, so they'd probably really appreciate that. And if you're gonna give like gifts that need to be wrapped, they'll like it if they're wrapped in like red, yellow, or pink. Just make sure you don't wrap it in like black or white, because I think those colors are associated with death. If if I'm not mistaken. And then if you're invited to somebody's home, make sure like you bring like good quality like chocolates or flowers. They also really like if you bring like high quality beef. That is a really good gift to give as well. And then there was one more thing if I can remember it.
Maybe you can also bring up about the one big thing that's the difference between like Asia versus the US is the discrimination when it comes to you have to have your photo on
Yeah.
So you can maybe talk about that.
So Korean society, I don't want to they love looks. They love the 얼굴 looks, the face looks.
It's beautiful.
By the way, I know China does this too. I'm not sure Japan does it, but China does this too. They have your face there, so it's not just Korea.
Yeah, and I know that some people will get their photo touched up. They might look like completely different. Like they'll get it touched up so that their hairline is lower, so their forehead looks shorter, or they'll take in the size of their nose, make their lips bigger, sharpen their jawline, and they'll send that into the company because I guess the company is more likely to choose a candidate if they have more of an appealing appearance. They want good-looking people to work for their company because that brings really good advertisement to their company. If they can show their employees, you're like, look how pretty our employees are.
So I'm gonna wrap this up. So thank you for joining us this episode today, guys. Let me know what y'all think about different cultures. How about your culture? If your culture somewhere that's not East Asia, maybe it's South Asia, maybe it's Africa, something completely different. Talk about that. What's the differences? Let us know in the comment section below, and check out our social medias. And thank you for joining us today.